February 12th meeting of the City of Cocoa Beach Special Magistrate. I'm here. Mr. Michael Bryan, the clerk to the Special Magistrate's here, and we have members of the city staff, code enforcement team who are also here. And I think there's been some modifications to the agenda. Would you like to go over them real quick?
Yes, Your Honor. So the first case, I'm going to ask to be dismissed as she's come into compliance. The second case, I'm going to ask that we postpone. The third case, asking for a postponement as well. And as well as the following case, the first Massey case, we're asking for a postponement.
Okay. So the case that'll remain on the agenda is case number 24-259 with the respondent, Richard Bohr.
Yes.
Okay. All right. Well, first off, what I'm going to do is approve the minutes of the November 13th, 2024 special magistrate hearings that were kindly prepared by Mr. Bryan, in which the Attorney General says we must keep and maintain. And I've approved those minutes. Now, besides city staff, who do we have present today? Sir?
Me, Richard Moore.
Okay, you're Mr. Bohr. Okay, the reason I ask you that is because, weren't you here at a prior hearing?
Yes, sir.
Do you remember the rules and everything?
I think
That
it's
this is a quasi judicial proceeding and all that? You remember me going over that?
Yes.
Okay. So you're the only case on the agenda today. So the hearing is a Massey hearing, and the reason we're here is to determine whether or not you were or were not in violation on the date that you were supposed to be in compliance under the prior order. You understand that, right?
Yes, sir.
Okay. And you're going to present today for yourself, right? You're going to speak.
Yes, I can.
Well, it's up to you.
That's fine, that's fine.
Okay, because I need to swear you in if you are, as a witness.
Sure, yeah.
Okay, okay. Who else is going to testify today?
I believe just us two.
Just you two. Okay,
Yep.
You're Danielle Crawford, I know
Yep.
that, and you're Mr. Bohr, the respondent in that case I just cited. Is that correct?
Yes, sir.
Do each of you solemnly swear that the testimony you're about to give in the matter now hearing will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, thank you. So I'm not going to go into my normal spiel for the public about who can speak and who can't, because there's nobody here in the audience. So let's proceed with the Massey hearing. And Ms. Crawford?
Can I enter the packet into evidence?
Yes, let's.
Alrighty.
Mr. Bohr, I'm going to scan it while you scan it, and then you can tell me if you have any objection to the documents being introduced into evidence. Do you want me to sign this too? This is the agenda, I think. Here's the minutes. Okay, Mr. Board, do you have any objection to that document being introduced into evidence?
No.
It's admitted then.
All right. So just confirming that we are here for case 24-259 for Richard Borer, and the address is 1034 Bali Road. On the next page, you see the property appraiser showing ownership. Previously, the respondent was found in violation of 26.5-53, maximum occupancy. The respondent was ordered to take action to ensure that the advertisements and listings were reduced to 8 persons within 1 week of the order. On slide 42, you'll see that this was mailed both first class and certified mail to the respondent, and that a Massey hearing notice was also sent via certified and first class mail to the respondent. And on page 45, you'll see that as of yesterday, that's the date there in the lower right-hand corner, all of the listings still remain at 16 occupants. So on the next slide, you'll again see sleeps 12 to 16 guests. On the next slide, you'll see sleeps 16 guests. So it's in the opinion of the city that the listings were not updated according to the order. They do not clearly reflect the maximum occupancy of 8 guests, and therefore the city is asking that the respondent be imposed a fine of $200 for the first day and $150 for every subsequent day of noncompliance. And we're asking that this would begin November 21st, 2024, the day that he was ordered to be in compliance.
Is there anything further at this time?
No, there's
Okay,
nothing further.
Mr. Board? It's your turn.
Okay. Well, I didn't really know what to expect here, so I'm going to do my best. Not really. I do appreciate Danielle's work and everything she does. It would be wonderfully helpful to have some sort of notice on what is viewed as an offending action so that individuals can correct them. So with that, in all respect, with that caveat, to the point, I would like to comply, and in concept, and then I'll go into detail here. In concept, what these listings reflect are a house with bedrooms that have beds. These beds offer configuration. Okay, I know the city wants to say have a maximum of 8 people, but there are families that want to come that have 1 person per room, except for all the kids and the cousins are in the room with 2 beds that are full over, full bunk, right? So that's 4 in one room and 1 in the other rooms. So you can have 8 people. So just most of these listings, with the exception of one, when you look at Airbnb, VRBO, those are the primary platforms. It says sleep 16, but those are configurations. I think in the last meeting I said the same thing. You have like a McDonald's meal, a special value meal that says pick 4. You don't get all of them, you pick 4, right? So here, what I need to do, what I think I still need to do, is be clear to say that these things where it says sleep 16, that's the platform. I can't change how Airbnb says with these little heads and whatever, because I have the bedrooms that has a full over full bunk and it has another queen bed or what, it doesn't mean 2 people are in the queen bed. It doesn't mean 4 people are in that bunk. It could be 1 kid on top, 1 kid on the bottom. Do you follow me? So this says that there's this many beds, and it is ambiguous. It says sleep 16 people, but that doesn't necessarily per se mean that I'm taking 16 people per reservation. So there is some guidance that I'm aware of with another property I have that was managed by a property management firm, Stay in Cocoa Beach, that I think is called Happy Palm Stays now. And they have a disclaimer in the texts. I don't know exactly where, because they had a listing for the property, so I purchased it. And it says maximum occupancy. It has similar configuration, same size house actually, 5 bedroom, 3 bathroom. Beds are a little different. There's a couple twin beds, this kind of a thing. And one more caveat, I need to be competitive to get people in. These are families that come, they have kids, cousins, whatever the configuration is, and you need to offer sleeping that accommodates them because it's competitive, believe it or not, and there's vacancy and costs and things like this. So the Stay in Cocoa Beach, Happy Palm Stays has a disclaimer that I have in my listing with them in the other house, and I'm happy to put that disclaimer in here. I actually had it in here. I'm not sure if it's still in here. That says the verbiage of the city ordinance. It says maximum occupancy is 8. Okay? So I just say even it's, you know, I don't know how to get around. I don't know what the advice would be in me having a room with a full over full bunk. You know, some people want that. It's going to add up and say sleep 16. So, you know, the way the city ordinance is written, I think they had the image that every room, right, a 4-bedroom is maximum. There, you know, houses have more than 4 bedrooms. Every bedroom only has a bed that's like a queen or a full or a king that sleeps 2 people, and that's just not the reality of beach houses. It's just not the reality of trying to be competitive to court people that come down with cousins and nephews and whatever. So there are houses with more than 4 bedrooms. There are houses with more than 1 bed. And therefore, Airbnb and VRBO will say in those cases sleeps 16 or 12 or 10 or what have you. But it doesn't say that I'm violating, which says housing more. Now, the last time we were here, Danielle showed reviews that said, hey, a group was here with more than 8. That I'd like to see since November 14. If she has reviews that say, hey, our group of 9, 10, 11, 12, 16 is available. I don't see that in this packet. Now, so I'd like to ask the court, the special magistrate, if I can do the following. If I can ensure the verbiage is on there like the property management firm, Happy Palm Stays, Stay in Cocoa Beach. I'm assuming that complied with the ordinance. They manage, I think, 25 properties, some of which are large properties like this. The listing here will still say sleep 16, because I have bunk beds or what have you. I mean, I don't know if you're recommending that I rip out all the beds and only have occupancy per room of 2 in 4 of the rooms. I turn 1 room into a study. I just don't know if that's what the city wants. So if I add the verbiage that Stay in Cocoa Beach has, I can pull it off verbatim and put it in there. And then to ensure that I'm complying, you monitor any documented case, a documented case of violation. This is an implication. You're implying that I'm violating. It's not documenting by an affidavit of a group of people signed by them that says, yes, our group was in excess of 8. I think there is enough uncertainty that I am truly acting in violation. This is just your interpretation of the major listing sites, which is Airbnb and VRBO, that I'm over And my claim is that it's a configuration issue like the value meal at McDonald's. I'm happy to add that verbiage that would say whatever the Cocoa Beach said. I mean, basically, I think it's pretty verbatim. There's one, and that's all I would, I guess, have to say. I mean, I wish I could have prepared and I could have ensured that that verbiage was on in advance of this meeting. I wish I was coming here to say that it was added there, because I didn't know. I thought the last time we were here, I was going to manage it. I have gotten requests for people that say, hey, can we stay? We have so many people. It was in excess of 8, and I said no, in every case. I would have to try to document that or pull those, you know, they message, it's called an inquiry, and then you decline the inquiry or request. I think it's called an inquiry. You know, I'm just not sure. In a town like Cocoa Beach with beach houses, and there's, you know, stacked full of beds. The one that I bought had more than beds to accommodate 8 people. And I'm not sure that one that I bought was ever in violation from the McCarthy's.
Well, I think this is being made more complex than it really needs to be. Because what the order said, the respondent shall take action to ensure that all advertisements and listings pertain to the subject vacation rental property clearly indicate and state that the maximum property occupancy is 8 persons. And then there was a date when you were supposed to do that. So all this, what you're talking about is platforms, configurations, beds, bunks, and all that.
It's adding the terminology.
I'm going to ask the city to respond to this, but as long as your advertisements say the city code states that you can't have more than 8 occupants in this place, this vacation rental, then you complied with the order. Is that the way you view this, Ms. Crawford? And it doesn't say that now.
Yeah, I think it does.
Whether or not you're violating the 8 is a different issue.
Right, so we would, yes, we want all of the listings to reflect 8 occupants, and I wouldn't have brought up Happy Homestays because it doesn't have any relevance, but because it was brought up, I would just like to say that they have reduced all of their listings to reflect 8 occupants. It clearly states 8, no more than 8. Everything shows 8. And because they do manage another of Mr. Borer's properties, I reached out to them directly because I had to open, and again, this is irrelevant information, but a case in which they had their listings for his property at 8, and he had a separate listing over 8.
So he's not in compliance with the order because he
He's not in
hasn't said
compliance.
in the advertisements
Correct.
that there's a maximum. There's your issue right there.
I have to object. I have to object. All this is fact. But there's a city ordinance that says I can't rent to more than 8.
Right.
It doesn't say, the city ordinance doesn't say I need to advertise
No, here,
only 8. It is lax enforcement.
hang on,
It is
hang on.
lax enforcement. Please let me finish.
Sure.
It's lax enforcement to say we need a proxy to ensure you are accommodating this city ordinance by showing us your advertising as such. Because there are ways to ensure that I am not.
I'm not
Without
gonna
an
debate-
advertisement.
I'm
So
not
you're going to fine me for something that is not an ordinance
Hang
to
on.
advertise over.
Hang on. I'm not going to debate that part with you, and the city, that's not at issue here today.
But it
What's
is,
at
isn't
issue
it?
is what the order said. The order was issued on November 16th, based upon the November 13th hearing.
I'm confused. The order is to advertise or not to rent to more than 8 people?
The order says, the respondent shall take, I just read it, but this respondent shall take action to ensure that all advertisements and listings pertain to the subject vacation rental property clearly indicate and state that the maximum property occupancy is 8 persons. And then it gave you 1 week to do that.
But they have no standing to ensure anything about
Hang
advertising.
on,
They
that's
haven't.
where we
I'm
depart.
confused that the
I'll
city's,
confuse you real quick, okay? That's what the order says.
based on what? There's
Well,
no
hey-
city ordinance that gives them that right to give me that order.
Hang on a second. Hang on. Let me say this, something, and then you can say whatever you want. The order was based upon a hearing that occurred November 13th of last year. The order was issued November 16th of last year. Up until, and I'm bad about counting 30 days, but about December 16th, you had the right to appeal, okay? There was no appeal as far as I know. I haven't heard about anything. Once that appeal was not taken, okay, that order became final, conclusive, the law of the land. As far as the whole world's concerned, the law about your property is that order. So that is the order,
I understand now.
okay? And that is what you were required to do. And that's what, I think there's no debate that you haven't done, but you can cure it by doing it still.
Yes, I understand.
Does that make sense?
Now it does,
Now,
yeah.
the city is asking for a fine to go back to November 21st, which is the week after November 14th, the 7-day period, I guess, right? Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, 13. Is that the city's position?
That is, yes.
Okay. Now, there's one issue with that, and that, we dealt with that before. The code, and I haven't been emailing or texting or anything up here. The code says vacation rentals are punished in accordance with section 1-8. 1-8, when you go to it, and the city may want to change this. Because I'm a city attorney in other places, and I've changed it in my cities. Because I say the penalty is whatever is allowed by law in the process which you're using. But in this case, when you go back to 1-8, it's the $500 period, not per day. Now, you can come back and have repeated days. But right now, what's been proven is that there was a violation, and that it's asserted to be a violation. You relate back to that penalty to your $500 again, okay? So in the context of this code enforcement proceeding under Chapter 162 of the Florida statutes in your city code, what I'm going to do is find that, yes, indeed, there was a violation beyond the date of compliance, and that there's a fine of $500, okay?
Yes,
And you
I
can bring that back. Here's the deal. You can bring that back for day after day after day after day after day and cite violations for each day, okay? And have a $500 a day that way. But right now, I think I'm constrained for this, you're alleging that there was a violation on that day. I agree. I don't think it's disputed. And I'm going to fine $500 a day, finding that there was a violation of the order after the date of compliance. Now, if you want to cite him day after day after day, that's something I think the city can do, and I wouldn't want them to do if I was you. Okay? Does that make sense to everybody?
Clarification. What would a violation be? A violation would not be advertising it, not advertising. A violation would be actually housing or renting to
Okay,
people.
the violation in my context.
Is that right?
In my world, in this room, as special magistrate, is the order.
Which is advertising.
Says you have to, and you didn't appeal it, advertise, in your advertisements, you have to say no more than 8 must clearly indicate and state that the maximum property occupancy is 8 persons. That's what your advertisements have to say.
And, okay, so, which I'm happy to do.
But
And
anything
we'll
else
figure
between, hang on a second. Anything else about what the city will, or I'm not going to agree to anything, because that's not my role. But if you want to talk to the city about, well, what if I say potentially sleep 16, but you can only have 8, how you word that without ending up here again, that's between you and the city, not between you and me. Does that make sense? Because I'm not the one who brings charges. I just sit here and find the facts and find the law and try to do what the statutes say about the penalty, which is what I'm doing today. Okay? But in terms of what the city will accept without bringing you back for another violation, that's between you and the code enforcement staff.
What is it?
Excuse me?
What is it? What's my recourse? I go to their office, I see Danielle, I see Jose, what's my recourse?
Well,
my recourse is
okay.
with the law that determines, that judges whether they're claiming or finding me the correct thing. Now, I didn't know about an appeal. I just don't know. I mean, I'm an average Joe running a couple vacation rental houses, so I guess I got to research that more.
Not really.
I get some of these pages, and they're a little opaque, Your Honor. I have to say, corrective action says reduce guest allowance to 8. This is not her PowerPoint, which is new to me, and I guess maybe she's quoting some other document, but this is what I have. Reduce guest allowance to 8, and do not allow more than 8 guests to stay at the vacation rental per code. That's what it says. It doesn't say advertising here.
That said more than it needed. That actually was an alleged violation again, but that's not before me.
This is October. This is October. This is dated October, so this is not this. And
that was before. That was before the November hearing.
But I think this is the same case as
But all I'm
DSC
finding
24-259.
All I'm finding, a Massey hearing, all I'm finding is that did you comply with the order I entered by the time it was required? The answer to that I'm going to find is no. Okay? The remedy I'm going to find is a $500 fine. Okay? What works between you and it is between you and the city what complies with this order, and because you didn't appeal to a circuit judge to tell me I was wrong.
Can you refer to
And hang on.
what
the orders I enter say, this order may be appealed to the circuit court within 30 days of execution, at which time it shall be rendered by filing in the office of the city's code enforcement clerk. That was done, so on November 16th, the order was rendered and you had 30 days to appeal, and the order told you that. You didn't have to research it or anything. I put it in my orders. Okay? So, there you go. But my finding today, and you can talk to the staff about what precise language will keep you out of this chamber again, okay? But that's not my call. But what I'm going to find is, as of the date of ordered compliance, compliance was not obtained, and I'm going to have a fine of $500 in accordance with the city code, and whether we end up here again next month for 1 day, 2 days, 3 days, 4 days of violation, that's not my call, okay?
So let me just ask, Your Honor, for, just so I understand this. So there's a city code saying occupancy less than 8. There was a hearing that he's in violation because there were some reviews that said, hey, there's been more than 8 to bottom line, because it has these listings that I can say, well, that's ambiguous. But there were at least one that said you were in violation. So the city then said, okay, we have an order to advertise it differently. I didn't appeal that. In my opinion, now I would say that's not really what the city code says. The code says I can't rent to people. I can't have more than 8 bodies staying there under a rental contract agreement, which is ratified by Airbnb, right? So I could have, but I can't now, say I object to that order to have me advertise differently.
You can say you object.
So, but right now, you, Your Honor, are saying, hey, I have an order that says, I think I'm using the term right, you need to change your advertising. You didn't. I'm finding it 500. I think we're in agreement to that point, right? I'm not
That's
saying.
what I just did. as a
So,
matter
right,
of fact.
yes, sir, yes, sir, right. I'm just saying, I'm just trying to question now because what you just said again and again and again. Now, until that's done, and I'm happy to do it, but I'm just trying to get my head around, I'm not a legal person with laws and whatever. And I'm trying to understand them. When that is done and I advertise then, does this order become in compliance? And it goes away? It goes away? I'm just
Once again,
confused. They made an order for me to do
I give you legal advice,
something.
and I suggest you talk to the city. But if you comply with the order, you're in compliance. You
Okay.
can come in violation the next day, so you have to continue compliance. But yes, once you put the right verbiage in the advertisements, you will be in compliance with that order. Now, the city can charge you later on if they want and they find that you've had 9, 10, 16, 20 people in the house. That's another case, another time, another hearing.
Case, not 24-259, it'd be a
Another
new case. But right now, this case says I need to resolve it by changing the
That's
advertisement.
my view. Ms. Crawford, do you agree?
Yes, correct. And then I think maybe for like clarification purposes, like if it were to stay at 8 occupants for like 5 years and then you brought it back to 16, that would be a new case it would be a repeat violation.
Right, I get it, okay.
And my guess is, and I don't mean to, this is way beyond the scope of this hearing, but my guess is if the city could have, it would have the code read that these were daily violations and not a one-time citation violation. But that's something to maybe address later on.
So, to that point, not to get too into the minutiae, because I appreciate your time or what have you, but let's say they say it's repeated violation, like every day. I guess my question is, if that were to be the case, it'd be say, where's your proof?
Well, that's way beyond. the
But
scope
I'm
of
just,
this
so that would be, I would take with them, and I would say, if they take that issue, I would
And
we'd
I
have a
would I
hearing.
would sit here and hear what the proof was and what you said the
Okay.
proof wasn't and make a decision, but that's not my role today.
Because, right, I'm just trying to figure out here, and I appreciate your time, because $500 is not immaterial in my world. And I'm just trying to figure out, or 150 a day or whatever, I can't remember exactly what they're saying, 200 then.
Well,
You know,
for this
if there's
time, it's gonna
one
be
violation of
$500.
if there's one violation of 8 people in whatever you'd call it, December of 2024, and they say, okay, well, it's from November such and such up to here, every day you're in violation, not this act of saying advertising, but I'm just saying of what? Being in excess, having too many people?
You're right.
Would it be every day? Would it be the one violation of the person staying there a week or the family?
Charge you for each day.
For each day in violation?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's totally.
And then the next families come and there's 7 people and 6 people and 8 people. Would they charge me then? Because our hearing would have been a month later.
I'm going to be.
I mean,
all
it's
can
a
tell
lot
you-
of money, Your
all
Honor.
I can tell you is
I don't know.
that each day that the city believes that there's over 8 occupants in that facility, they could charge you for that day's violation.
Believes?
And if a family of 9 or 16 or 20 stayed for 20 days, that could be 20 violations, depending upon how the city charged it.
Agreed, understood. I'm just trying to figure out, I really have trouble with the term you use, that the city believes.
Well, when
Wouldn't they have to prove it?
When city asserts, strike of believes and use the word asserts.
Okay, and then we would have to discuss whether they
Every time I
can,
said believes, I said they'd have to bring it here.
and then you would decide based on the case and the evidence, okay.
Asserts,
All
alleges, whatever you want to use.
Yeah, asserts is a very good term. I get it. They're saying we assert this is the case, and then I would have counter evidence
That's right. That's
or what have you, if not, if at all.
That's what this proceeding and the one back in November was all about, right?
Yeah, I mean, Your Honor, I appreciate the patience because I don't quite understand, I probably should have had a, whatever you call it, an appeal, because I didn't quite know what, or I should have just, I really wasn't.
I'm going to cut this off because you're going way beyond the scope of this hearing. I just recommend, as I would with any respondent, that you work with the city. And then if you come to an impasse and you get charged, you end up here. But working with the city, the goal of the city of Cocoa Beach, as I understand it, like every city and county I'm familiar with in the code enforcement process, is compliance. It's not to bring people to a hearing and fine them. It's compliance. So the way you get compliance is talking to the city. Does that make sense?
I think so. I mean, and honestly, but Danielle, should I be calling you? I'm happy to, because some of the stuff, quite frankly, was I just didn't understand that was just the advertisement. Like,
So after
maybe it's just my paperwork or,
Well, what I'm gonna do.
I guess
your
I'd assumed
specific-
because it was the
I
16,
understand.
I said the 16 wasn't, but if I should have said, are we still out of compliance? I didn't realize I'd come here with the prospect of getting hit with thousands and thousands. I just didn't know.
Or what I'm gonna do, because this is a public hearing and it's being recorded and everything, I'm gonna adjourn the hearing so that can stop, and the things that you're saying to yourself
Talk
or
to
to
her.
Danielle can be done bilaterally instead of to the whole world, okay?
Yeah,
All right, I'm adjourning the hearing now.